Keefe is with us till the bottom of the hour, projectveritas.com. I don't really need to introduce him to most of the audience. He's been arrested. They've tried to indict him for being a member of the press. He helped bring down Akron and so much more by going in and saying he wanted to run underage prostitutes through their operation. He is the true example of real journalism, and that's why the authoritarian left is always trying to have him put in prison. And I wanted to get him on about a story that broke over the weekend and was on Drudge for like 3 days. A stunt that was genius to show how wide open the border is. So we've sent reporters down to go back and forth across the river, but dressed up like Osama bin Laden in the whole jihadi outfit, just to show how ridiculous it is. And that's how you capture the public's attention. So I wanted to play a clip of that as well after we talked some with him today. But James O'Keefe, Obama just came out 5 minutes ago. We have the clip coming up after you leave us, and said, oh, I'm for the First Amendment. You know, we shouldn't be attacking the press in Ferguson. And then the governor came out and said he's going to get the bottom of it. I don't support the looters. I don't know the truth about who shot this 18-year-old man, you know, on purpose, or whether it was an accident or it was a scuffle, Michael Brown. But I have reporters there that were shot with rubber bullets, flashbangs, sound cannons. Al Jazeera's hundreds of yards away. They say, turn your cameras off on loudspeakers, and then start firing at my reporters and others, arresting Washington Post reporters and people in a McDonald's down the road as they're there ordering coffee. I mean, this is not a free country. As somebody who's been targeted, you know, you came to the aid, I came to the aid of people like Dinesh D'Souza when he got indicted on trumped-up, made-up garbage about giving, you know, a few $1,000s to a friend of his who was running for the Senate. We came to his aid. If Bush would have had Michael Moore arrested, I would have come to his aid, even though I don't like Michael Moore. Is the press going to stick together on this? I mean, I don't even know your take on this yet, so I'm going out on a limb here. But regardless, this is different issues. The Michael Brown shooting and the way the police are acting and the fact that they're following federal orders to aim lasers at my reporters and others that are, you know, hundreds of yards away. And I mean, this is getting really bizarre. James O'Keefe, this could be the crisis. Just like with Trayvon Martin, we know the Justice Department there got caught stirring stuff up with secret agents. That came out mainstream news. This thing stinks to high heaven. What's your take on it?
Well, I mean, I saw that the 2 journalists were arrested, and there's outrage on Twitter about it. I myself have been arrested. I was falsely accused. They're calling it a false arrest, and I think it's outrageous what they're doing to the guys at the Huffington Post and the Washington Post. Ryan Riley and I have butted heads. He's a civil rights reporter. He's opposed photo ID laws, and they celebrated it when I got arrested, and really it comes down to labels, you know, who's a journalist, who's not a journalist. When I wear a hidden camera and work for YouTube, you know, I'm not a journalist, therefore I'm not afforded the rights that they are. But I saw that Rand Paul just has a new piece out on Time Magazine just minutes ago, where he talks about the militarization of police forces. I mean, I think when I've been on your show before, I've said that, you know, no matter, as long as you're gathering information, in my book, you're considered a journalist, and you should have all the rights and the privileges afforded to journalists. But it's really scary to see what's happening out there, and now there's even reports that, you know, they're looking out for people who are tweeting, citizens who are tweeting. They're going to come after them. So, but I think that, you know, we've been on the front lines and certainly have been attacked, and they've celebrated our arrest. It's good to know now that people are looking out for these journalists getting arrested, because it's an important thing.
Well, exactly. And I've noticed you've defended the press, whether it be left or right. And again, we see the left calling for free speech to be shut down whenever the IRS goes after free speech organizations and nonprofit press groups. MSNBC goes on and says, yeah, shut down the Tea Party. Of course we're auditing you. You're a terrorist organization. But then Rachel Maddow freaks out when the Huffington Post people get arrested. Hey, how about we freak out all the time here?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. You know, there needs to be outrage no matter who the person getting arrested is. Just because the Washington Post reporter I saw there's 10,000 retweets. Society becomes more outraged when it's a member of the establishment media class. But if it's a blogger or an independent person, the right needs to defend the left just as much as the left should defend the right. Rachel Maddow has spent so many hours attacking me, and James is discredited. He was arrested. James was arrested. Well, is that now the thing that makes you discredited? Josh Fox is arrested. He's an Academy Award winner. Ryan Riley.
Martin Luther King was arrested 150-something times.
And it's a false arrest. The whole point of it, it's a false arrest. The police assaulted Ryan Riley yesterday. They assaulted him. They threw they threw me against a car in New Orleans. They destroyed my evidence. And we need to stop this left-right thing.
Sure.
When it comes to this particular issue of police brutality and civil rights. It's about
what's happening with the police, because you've been arrested and thrown in jail and harassed so many times. How do cops, and again, most cops aren't like this, but more and more cities have special units that will just march up and assault and beat up and falsely charge even mainline media now, who's been defending bloggers and folks being attacked. I mean, what's wrong with them?
Well, I agree with Rand Paul's column that he just wrote. He said that most police officers are good cops and good people, and it's a difficult job in circumstances. So I'm not necessarily faulting the police. And my interaction was actually with the federal agents in New Orleans and people who were former police officers who became FBI agents. But I think that it's a top-down problem. The people, just like the situation on the border this past week, we went down there and the federal agents were nowhere to be found. They're kind of just doing their jobs, but it's the people on top, it's the people in Washington that are giving the orders to them not to do their jobs or to do a different job. But there's an increasing effort to make journalism illegal in this country, to make gathering information when you're out in the field. I'm not talking about people who sit in cubicles in New York City, people who are out there in the field gathering information. There is an effort to try to either destroy their character or put them in jail. And just now, we're starting to see it on the left. We're starting to see people at mainstream media outlets face the same type of issues that you've faced and I've faced and citizen journalists have faced.
That's right, and it's scary to see it intensifying, and now they have internet kill switches going in. Obama's making announcements, commandeering my phone all the time. Even when it's off, it turns on with Obama messages. My dad, my mom, everybody I know is getting them. The whole office phones ring, and I get these weird Democrat messages. Now they passed a bill in California to make kill switches by law be in all the phones so police can turn them off during situations like this. The genie cannot be put back in the bottle. Let me expand on this with you and then talk about your border investigation. What do you make of attempts by the IRS to shut down free speech, and now the IRS isn't getting in any trouble? James, that's what concerns me, is that they've gotten away with all this and that what's bad is about to get a lot worse.
Yeah, there was someone comment. And by the way, what's happening with Washington Post and the Huffington Post, like it's deplorable and it's outrageous. But it is interesting to note that when Catherine Engelbrecht in Texas gets audited by the IRS and her company faces harassment from the Justice Department, that is equally bad. I mean, we're talking about both of these things are bad, but nobody cares about the IRS. Nobody cares about the IRS harassing innocent people, harassing. Auditing Andrew Cuomo, auditing me in New York State. No one cares about that. It's only about this one incident now in Missouri. But I mean, I've said publicly that I'm going to do an investigation into the IRS. I'm going to go undercover. I have to be careful because the IRS is a federal agency, and there are laws which the federal government interprets broadly. So if I'm like going undercover into a federal building, I have to be careful. But I'm going to investigate the IRS probably in the fall or in the wintertime. And I'd love to get on tape, on undercover tape, people like Lois Lerner speaking candidly about her motives and about
Well, you know where to go. I mean, you reported on it. In Dallas, when people pointed out they were Democrats, they have Democrat parties with stickers, and they all get in big meeting halls and basically chant and admit they're on a team to target conservatives. I mean, they're like Nazis or the Soviets. I mean, they know they're bad.
Well, you got to go to the conferences. You got to go to like where they have like the IRS did the Congo line. You know, going to the summits, the conferences, the barbecues.
You got to go into their Las Vegas parties, exactly.
And you got to get them speaking. If we had videotape of Lois Lerner saying exactly how she felt about the Tea Party, everything would change. They'd forget Congress, forget the hearings. We'd bypass that and go right to the out. It would outrage everyone. And I think that like the Osama bin Laden thing. You know, the whole notion of terrorists crossing into the United States, that's not a divisive issue. Immigration is a divisive issue. People, I like immigrants, I don't like immigrants, that it's racist or not racist. But the moment you switch to something, you know, like targeting people and getting it on tape, I think that's going to bring people together. That's exactly what I want to get on tape.
Well, I mean, you're not just a journalist, James. You've changed the world.
Thank you.
No, thank you. And then I'm just sick of all these lazy New York Times and CNN people. Oh, you read the New York Times, you're so smart. When they just go around regurgitating pseudo-intellectual crap from the White House. So you're not as good as the New York Times. You're 1,000 times better, and I mean it.
Thank you.
We are the new press, and we wear our bias to promote freedom and tell the truth openly. Alex Jones here with a very important announcement for truth seekers. We've carried a lot of amazing films and books over the years on the online video bookstore at Infowars.com. And out of all the titles we've carried, one stands out because it is just so chillingly convincing. And that's Dreams from My Real Father by Joel Gilbert, available at Infowars.com. This film exposes the fraud that Obama is like nothing I've seen. If you want to know who Obama's real daddy is, this is the film for you. Don't forget, your purchase supports our broadcast and our growing media network. You'll also find at InfoWarsShop.com, None Dare Call It Conspiracy by Gary Allen, the book that woke me up. We're also carrying Behind the Green Mask, UN Agenda 21 by Rosa Corey. This book is coffin nails to the globalist takeover. The Greater Good, the most professional and up-to-date film I've ever seen exposing the scourge that is vaccines. These titles and a lot more are all available at InfoWarsShop.com.
I'm James O'Keefe. I'm right in the center of the Mexican-American border, and I see no border patrol. I see no security. Thousands of people have stood in my footsteps right now. They've come from South America, Honduras, Guatemala, and they've all crossed the border. And if they can cross, anybody can cross. And I'm here today to ask you, do you feel safe?
He's dressed as Osama bin Laden crossing the river. He even walks like bin Laden. Is that bin Laden or is it Obama? See the whole video at ProjectVeritas.com. James, I want to get you back for a full hour in the near future. We obviously sell your book that chronicles all the amazing things you and your group have been part of, and it's a how-to go out and be a true grassroots, muckraking journalist. You and Matt Drudge and others are heralding the return, and InfoWars as well, and my reporters and many others, of journalism. The mainstream has become a vacuum because they don't operate like journalists. They're repeaters. When they do journalistic activities, they get rubber bulleted and arrested. In closing, in the 5 minutes we've got left, you know, Matt Drudge last year tweeted that Senator Feinstein was a fascist, and she is a fascist, saying that the New York Times could have journalistic protections, but you and I couldn't, that it has to be a mainline media group, and that Congress has to say who has the First Amendment. Well, that's like the state saying they can say what churches can exist. We've all got to come together as the press and as the people and decry what's happened, or we're going to lose it all. The system is threatened by this. And the cops, I mean, if there's no First Amendment, they're going to lose their Second Amendment. And so we're all in this together. Your take on what we face as a society and where you see us as a culture.
I think it requires ordinary citizens stepping outside their comfort zone. You made a comment in the last segment. You said you know, they're sitting in their cubicles in New York, or they're sitting in New York City and Washington. Some people got to get out into the field. They got to take their cameras outside the newsroom and go out into the crowd, and I don't care whether you're on the left or the right, the fact that you're in Missouri or you're in Texas, you're on the border. A lot of people criticize me. What are you doing down there, James? Aren't you making a mockery of this whole border debate by dressing up like Osama? And I said, actually, CNN showed images of the lack of a fence. And they were only showing those images because of that we did at Project Veritas. So we forced the mainstream media to cover issues they don't want to talk about.
I mean, they always complain when we're successful and change the world. Bringing down Acorn, exposing the IRS. You've done that in dozens of other world-shaking stories. So they say you don't have an effect and you're pathetic and you're discredited because you got arrested. I mean, it's ridiculous. They say Drudge doesn't have any power and I don't have any power. It's pure bull. They're losing the power because they're frauds. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
They need to leave their air-conditioned offices and go out into the country and take a camera. Like, I have a way to change. Here's how we change the world. All the people that consider themselves journalists, let's say there's 10 or 20,000 of them, just take a camera, leave your office, go to a local area government office and start asking difficult questions. If all the journalists just took a camera and started asking questions, the world would be a better place. But they're not going to do that. They're going to sit on Twitter all day. And that's my urge. I urge journalists to do this type of thing. And as far as Feinstein is concerned and all those people, yeah, it's very scary stuff, but they can't stop all of us. So we got to stick together and step outside our comfort zones and go out in the field. That's my solution.
Well, you're absolutely right. And mainstream media's ratings continue to plunge while our ratings go up and up and up. I call them the dinosaur media. I call us the real media. I mean, what's the best name for establishment media in your view? And then what's the best name for us?
I would call them political marketing officials. I would not call them journalists because they're advertisers for the political marketing industry. That's like Politico.com is a sort of ruling class marketing machine that they basically Politico.com serves the political class in Washington, and then the political class in Washington serves Politico.com. What we should call ourselves is journalists. I'm even thinking about abandoning the citizen portion of that, just journalists, because that's the role of a journalist, is to speak truth to power. And I think that's what we should refer. But these labels, these notions that, well, he's a journalist, therefore it's wrong for that he got arrested. But O'Keefe and Alex Jones, well, they're not journalists, so I hope they rot in prison. And these labels are just ridiculous. The fact is, we're exposing the truth, we're speaking truth to power, and you're going out into the field to gather information.
Absolutely. And everybody needs to get out and do their own YouTubes, their own news. And then there's no way they can ever censor all of it. The real revolution is the info war right now. James O'Keefe, from all the info warriors, we salute you. Look forward to your next incredible triumph over tyranny. And folks need to support you and us as well. That's another way to fight back, is for people to support true independent journalists. Thank you so much, James.
Thank you.
Alex Jones here for Infowars.com. We're going to be intensifying our efforts to awaken free humanity to the scourge of the globalist in the month of July. And starting this July 4th, we are going to slash prices in a celebration of true Americana, the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and the Declaration of Independence on all of the Made in America products that you will find at madein1776.com or InfoWarsStore.com. We're talking about Made in America belt buckles in brass and nickeled brass that state it loud and proud. Molon Labe. That's why we have the best-selling Made in America men's and women's Molon Labe Infowars.com shirts. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a win-win. You vote with your dollars. You support the most hardcore organization out there for promoting true ideas of libertarianism, constitutionalism, basic human empowerment. But more importantly, you get T-shirts and belt buckles so you can meet like-minded people. So you have a conversation starter with friends and family and coworkers. We are reaching out to each other. And you also throw it in the face of the anti-gunners and the rest of the parasites out there that you're a free man and woman, and that you're not going to be a slave, that you're not going to be intimidated to shut up by their tyranny that they call political correctness. That's why in the month of July, we have got giant specials on everything at madein1776.com. But to expand the InfoWar, we're offering the biggest special in the history, 13 years of PrisonPlanet.tv, our multimedia platform. We're offering the equivalent of more than 5 months free right now when you get a membership at PrisonPlanet.tv, and you get 11 memberships that can be used with the same username and passcode so you can share it with friends and family. Now is the time to fund the war bonds. Now is the time to fund the InfoWar. Now is the time to get aggressive. Now is the time to double down. Now is the time to realize you are the people that made the InfoWar so successful and one of the leading lights worldwide against tyranny. You don't stand behind us, you stand right beside us, and I salute all of you on this July 4th, 2014, and going forward in the month of July and onward. This is about freedom worldwide and that desire for human dignity and self-determination that beats in the human breast. We are brothers and sisters together in the true spirit of liberty and the animating contest of liberty. And so I quote in closing the great Thomas Jefferson that I have sworn on the altar of God resistance against every form of tyranny. And never forget, if you are watching or listening to this transmission, you are the resistance.